Everyone we see is a reflection of us. Welcome. We here in Australia have something that's called a voice to Parliament, which stems from the Uluru Statement. Now, basically, the voice to Parliament has turned into a debacle between a yes campaign and a no campaign. Now, gladly, I haven't read the entire document of the Uluru Statement, or a treaty, if you will. But you see, I don't need to read the document to understand what it should represent. I understand that whenever a treaty or a voice should be arranged or agreed upon, it needs to be done in the right manner. Now, this can be a treaty from any country or any nation, not just Australia. But you see, the Indigenous Australians, or the aboriginals of the land, who are sole heirs to this land and always have been, you see, they are not in the current constitution, and they are safe, and they are the true custodians of the land. They own it. They were here before any white colonist came. But you see, here lies the problem. Because in the current scheme of things from the WHO or the WF or whoever it is that wants to take control, the Aboriginals own the land. And because they are not part of the Constitution, they cannot take the land from them. They are the true owners. Therefore, you see, a proper treaty would include the Aboriginals in the ownership of the land and continue to provide them ownership of the land without fear or worry that it would be sold beneath them. You see, the current referendum which is being taken place is to remove that very fact. But you see, not one, but two and three, so many more policies and procedures are being put into place to say, if you do not vote in favor of this voice to Parliament, you are racist. You don't want to include the Aboriginals, and that is far from the truth. You speak to any Aboriginal community that is not being indoctrinated into politics, or is not a half of a percentage of an Aboriginal who has been fed lies and money to support the Yes campaign, they would tell you it's about a divide, and they are voting no. Not only is it creating separation between the people of the land, our own Prime Minister has vouched that he has not read past the first page, which there lies a problem in itself. So let me ask you a question. If you have not read the entire book, how can you make judgment? How can I make judgment? I have not read it either. You see, I'm not here to sway your vote. I'm not here to say that this document is the truth or is false. That's not what I'm here for. I urge you to read it yourself. What I'm here is to tell you what the government is planning to do with the information. For that I do know. But you see, in my heart of hearts, I am all for giving the land to the Aboriginals. It belongs to them. But we need something in place where we can not destroy native title and local heritage. There's been so many things put in place that has been manipulated to look as if we are damaging when we are not. There are people in high places who are shaking hands with politicians and filling their wallets. And politicians are moving into places of business where they should not belong. Throw into the fact that to take the land from the Australian people, from the aboriginals, they need to be included in the constitution, which they currently are not. They are safe and free. However, if the referendum happens, they are now a part of an Australian constitution, and we are no longer under the British banner, which is keeping people safe and free. If the referendum happens, all the laws that Australia have brought into policy and politics under the guise of the kangaroo and the emu become effective, because we are now a referendum, and the Aboriginal people are included in this referendum, but it's as if they are 49% to 51% in the government's favour. Therefore, they have a say on the matter, but they do not have total control. But now the land does not belong to them because the government can sell it right underneath them. You see, it is more than just including the voice of the Aboriginal people in parliament or decision making. It is a guise and a tactic to allow them to become a part of it so that they can take it from them. But you see, I don't know whether people have been coerced by money or greed or power or ignorance, if you will. But whatever it is, they just cannot see it, or they've been told they would be taken care of. This is the true course of what the government have to say. And what's even worse is that now they are spending multi-millions of dollars on campaigns and advertisement and hiring celebrities and sports people to endorse this ridiculousness, to coerce and convince people. And if that doesn't ring alarm bells to you, what does? Why would you need to spend millions of taxpayer dollars on an advert or a campaign for a yes or no when that could be put in hospitals or housing or improving the social standards of the Aboriginal people? But no, you put it towards a yes or no vote. Not only that, you won't even allow the Aboriginal people to vote in their native language. You have to have it in English, because no one in the Australian Electoral Commission speaks Aboriginal. So that's interesting in itself. Maybe they do speak Aboriginal, maybe they want it in English, but either way, it's disappointing because now people who don't speak English but are in native Aboriginal tongue have to somehow write yes or no. So you are forcing them to do so. I don't know about you, but this reeks of outside influence. Here in Western Australia, we already have an Aboriginal cultural heritage scheme which is identical to the voice that they tried to push through but destroyed everyone. And it was supposedly to be removed. The Farming Association, all of the farmers from down south and the heritage community got together and the government backpedaled. Or at least they said they would. They said they would remove it, but guess what? It's still in situ. They just told everyone that they would remove it, but they haven't. This voice, or so-called treaty, if you will, if it doesn't pass, which it looks like it won't, and let's pray that it doesn't, because everything's on the downhill, so now they're pushing everything down your throats harder. WA still has this in place, and then they can force it upon because they passed it through, because they had majority of the vote. So, how can something be so urgent? How can a voice be needed when if you ask the local communities, they already have a voice? It's not that they need. This is a secret referendum to take people away from the British Constitution into an Australian government, an Australian Queen. And then they can sell to the highest bidder, to the Klaus Schwabs, to the people over in the who to the businesses that they can now start to buy from underneath you. And you have no rights. You are being told you have a say, but you have none. It's a sad, sad state of affairs when people cannot see what is happening right before them. But you see, it doesn't matter whether it's in Australia or the Native Americans or in India or in farming in Europe or Canada with the Inuits. It doesn't matter where it is. They are trying to take the land. For then you have nothing. All the sacred sites they are destroying so that they can build your 15-minute prisons. We know this. But they are trying to do it in a legal way, and anything that's stopping them, if it takes too long, they will burn it down or they will flood it. There's been an abnormal amount of weather systems, of flooding, torrential downpours, or fire-based events that is not related to Mother Nature. And you've got to ask yourself, why? They are failing. And this voice to Parliament will fail. The question is, allowing the people the opportunity to see it for what it is. And the Australian people are realizing that that's exactly what it is. Now, when it doesn't pass, you have to watch out for yourself, because what will happen when it doesn't? Will the WA Parliament take theirs into action and go, oh, by the way, we didn't redact it, so we're taking all of Western Australia? Will they start more bushfires that we are prone to? Or will there be flooding like what happened up in Queensland and Sydney and Melbourne? You see, these are the problems that are going to face Australia when we refuse. They don't care about you. And to anyone listening who is indigenous to the lands that they live on, I implore you to see it for what it is. You have fellow citizens, fellow colleagues, fellow tribesmen, if you will, who are being sold out for money and safety, who are being blatantly lied to for the possibility of a better life. But ask yourself, why are you trusting the government now? When consistently they have not fought for your safety, they have not supplied welfare or well-being to anyone in need. They look after themselves, and then they take what they need and they kill whoever stands in their way. Why do you think any treaty that the current government provides you is anything but a hypocrisy of what they stand for? Do not listen to them. They are not the truth. They are a bunch of puppets being pulled by someone in a higher power to take ownership of the world. I don't care whether it's a one world government or a higher power of elites or just people with an ego complex. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, they are trying to steal things from you and rid you of your freedom and your liberties. But if you let that happen, something as simple as this voice will remove everyone's freedom. But when you revolt against this, it sends ripples and shockwaves to the rest of the world that the people have woken up and they will not stand for it anymore. The tyrannical point of view and warfare from our current government and leaders will be shot down. And the people will rally together, not in a forceful or an angry way, but in a loving, caring way. Like a wall they cannot push over. They will huff and they'll puff, but there is no way they are pushing that down. Call it what you will. It doesn't matter. But if you let this happen, there goes your freedoms. Do you trust your government enough after COVID? Do you trust anyone on the television selling adverts for a campaign by using sports stars and media outlets to promote their agenda? Do you trust them? Do you question it? I know so many people that are saying no. Have they woken up fully? No. But do they see the issue? Absolutely. And this is a step in the right direction no matter what. So the voice to Parliament is a sham, no matter what they say. If you want a treaty or a document between people that can be represented, honest truth, and a caring situation between all relevant people and communities and cultures, then we sit down outside of the current politics and we agree upon that very fact. It's not hard to do. It's not hard to write it into law. And I don't mean white man's law, I mean proper law. And these are the things that make the biggest difference. You're not giving someone immunity. You're not saying because you're the First Nations, you're everything. They still have their own agendas and their own ideas and their own culture that they must also respect. But so do we. And we walk together through the hardships and the joys. No current government will stand there and support that. They are trying to take it away from you. And I don't care who you are, whether you agree with me or not. This is my point. This is my facts. You agree, you don't, it doesn't matter. The fact that you're listening and can potentially see those possibilities, ask yourself, do you trust your government? What if they are lying? What if they do sell you out? How will you feel if you voted yes? How will you feel knowing that you were tricked when it's too late? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. And it's a very interesting point because it is that very fact. Whether it's one way or the other, it doesn't matter. If you are fooled by your government once, fair play. But if it happens again and again and you are aware of it, then that is on you. So ask yourself, what are you willing to sacrifice for your belief or your ego that you know is correct? And are you correct? Do you know everything? But let me tell you this, I will always stand by the indigenous, the First Nations of any land or any culture that I step upon. I might be whiter than the sun, but I am closer to Mother Nature and Mother Gaia and the earth than half of the people in this Yes campaign are. And I will always respect the lands that I walk upon. And I don't need anyone to tell me I am connected to those lands. And I will protect them for as long as I am awake. And with a loving heart and a peaceful mind, take care.